Hello everybody, Mr. Pilgrim here, coming at you with the second video in our Platinum Trophy Guide for the Dark Souls Remastered. Now in the last video, like I said, I'm going to be using a duplication glitch in order to make getting the Platinum Trophy much faster and much easier, and I showed you in the last video. Now probably the only thing I forgot to do, and probably would cause a problem, is just killing the merchant before buying some bow and arrows. As you can see, we don't have any, but that is perfectly fine, as we'll eventually be able to get some anyways, so it is not that big a deal. But from here, I'm going to show you guys where to go and how to progress through the next part of the game. So, like I also shown at the end of the last video, you can farm souls in this area once you've unlocked it by coming up here, causing the dragon to breathe fire. As you'll see, you can also come over here to this side of the area and it will breathe fire. But for the sake of things right now, we're going to leave the dragon as is and just continue on down here. As you'll see, we're able to easily come through this area. No problem at all. And we got ourselves an extra spear, which is always nice. But coming down here, you can see that the rats in the game drop humanity, which is actually pretty nice to know as well. Now from here, you'll be on the other side of this gate. Don't worry, I'll eventually show you guys how to get there. And we'll also require a bow and arrow. Like I said, just don't worry about it for now. But if you come up this tower here, you'll have your next Black Knight enemy that you can fight and kill. Like I said, when it comes to parrying, all enemies that you can parry have a very specific tell, as you'll see. And once you get more familiar with parrying, like I said, it'll be a lot easier for you to deal with some of the tougher enemies in the game. But moving on here through the Undead Burg into the next area here, there is a couple ways that you can deal with this, but the best way that I like to do is just to run past everything and make it through the other side of the giant gate here. As you'll see, like so, this will stop a long, boring process of having to go through a underground area and getting blocked by enemies with this gate here. As you'll see, almost all the enemies are aggroed onto us, of course. But from here, you can actually come up, and on the left, you can find a halberd. Pretty nice item. Now we can enter the inside of the church. As you'll see, pretty much, the new enemy type isn't too bad. Now, using the shield we picked up with the Astora Straight Sword, the Dragon Crest Shield, you'll notice that its physical absorption is pretty much 100%. So that means when you block against certain enemies, there's no damage bleed through. Because some shields, when you check them out, as you'll see right here, the physical is like less than 100. Anything less than 100 guarantees that some enemies will hit you through the shield, dealing a small bit of damage to you. Now while we're here, we're also going to take on and fight this Balder Knight. Do be careful of the mage up above. As you'll see up there, he's just chilling right now, which is good for us. But coming up here, you can grab your first Firekeeper soul. Now these are going to be used to upgrade your Estus Flask permanently to heal you for more HP. Now while we're here in the chapel, if you come over here, I highly recommend taking this elevator down. Trust me, it just makes your life a little bit easier to have this here. And as you'll see, this will be a shortcut all the way back to Firelink Shrine. As you'll see, you'll be just right here. Makes it a whole lot easier to navigate through the area and through the game. Now, one last thing I'd like to show off though is the side area on the other side of the church. So as you'll see, from here you can come to the other side of the undead parish. Out over here, and this will lead to probably the next area of the game. Don't worry, like I said, this will all make sense in due time. So coming down here, you'll find your next bonfire that you can access. Depending on things, you probably want to light this, and when you have the chance, you'll want to reverse your hollowing. Now, in order to reverse your hollowing and kindle, you will need to have soft humanity up in your top left. The difference between soft humanity and the humanity you have in your inventory, as you'll see, it says you gain 1 humanity and it restores your HP. Pretty good healing item in case you run out of healing, but basically you'll use 1 and then you'll get 1 in the top left. If you don't have any in the top left, you can occasionally obtain soft humanity just from playing the game. As you'll see, we ended up using 1 to restore our overall humanity. Now, when doing so, if you're in online, you can then be invaded by anybody who is within 10 levels of you. So anyone who is level 79 to 99 will be able to invade your world if you are human. Now, if you're playing offline, this doesn't really affect you all that much, but still just keep that note. Now, from here, you will find Andre of Astora. He's a pretty cool dude. He's going to be your main blacksmith of the game. Now, from here, what you actually want to do is purchase the Crest of Artorias and the Weaponsmith box, Armorsmith box, as well as a repair box. Now, while we're also here, I like to buy a longsword, a bastard sword. Since we already have an axe, we don't need to buy another one. A cestus, and we already have the rest of the items that we need. Now, as you can see right here, Andre sells arrows, which is perfect for us. As you probably remember, I said doing the glitch requires you to buy arrows, and here we go. Now, we're actually going to buy some arrows just because we actually need them. So we'll at least buy 20 arrows just because, like I said, and then if you ever need to, you can always just get 10,000 souls and buy some standard arrows. Pretty easy, like I said. Now, for the time being, we're going to head back up to the church, and we're going to fight the next boss of the game, as well as summoning Solaire of Astora for the first boss that you can summon him for. So heading on back up, you can run past these enemies if you want, or you can deal with them. So coming up here, we'll have this Balder Knight. As you'll see, using the straight sword that we have here, might as well just get it out of the way. Now, I'm sure as you guys have noticed, I'm getting a lot of drops from enemies when I'm going through the game. Now, the main reason why is because I at least have 10 soft humanity. Having at least 10 soft humanity boosts your overall natural item discovery, which is pretty nice to have. Now, if we're really lucky, the Chandler would have dropped his trident, which is an item we would need to farm later on, but sadly he did not. But that is perfectly okay. So here in the upper level of the cathedral or chapel, whatever you'd like to call it, In this back room, you can find another soul. Like I said, anytime you get these souls, it's basically going to guarantee that you have more souls, just because of the duplication glitch, to make sure that your life goes a little bit smoother. Now, coming on back here into this area, you'll find this wall that you can roll through, and you'll find this guy locked in a cell. Basically, you're just going to let him out and be all chill with him for now. You'll just make sure that you exhaust all of his dialogue, and then we can be on our merry way. In case you need another humanity over here in this back corner, you can find one in this barrel on a corpse, as you'll see, like so. Then from here, we can finally head up to the top to take on the next boss. Now, once you fight this boss, there's a couple things that we're going to do real quickly, and we're actually going to finally head back down into Blighttown and get all of that out of the way. So as you'll see right here, in order to summon Solaire, you'll need to be in human form. Like I said, when in human form, people can invade you. However, if you're playing offline like I suggested, then that won't happen, and you'll only get invaded by NPC invaders who are fairly easy to fight and deal with. So we're just going to summon him. One thing I like to do whenever summoning people, I always want to wait until they are summoned in, as you'll see right there, and that'll let me know that they're finally in my world before entering the boss. Now here we have the probably first big hurdle that some people face in Dark Souls, and that is the gargoyles. As you'll see, now this is another boss whose tail you want to cut off, so do be careful of that. So make sure you don't accidentally kill him too quickly. As you'll see, like so, you need to get his tail axe. But as you'll see, he goes down fairly easily, and then his buddy will show up with half HP. But because of the Astora's Straight Sword being such a good item to get early on, they go down pretty quickly. As you'll see, you get a sunlight medal for every boss that Solaire has survived through, all the way to the end, which is pretty cool. And then from here, we're actually going to head up and ring this bell. Now, ringing this bell will get you a trophy as well. You'll need to ring at least 2 of them to progress the actual main game. The next one is found in Blighttown. Sorry about that. For the sake of things, I'll skip the cutscene. Now, before we leave, we'll see the next area we're eventually going to have to go through, Sense Fortress right there. But coming on down here, coming all the way back down the ladders, you will find Cromwell the partner right here, just waiting for us. He wasn't there originally, and here you'll find probably one of the best emotes in the game. Well, what is it? Now, while we're here, we're going to purchase Karmic Justice from him for 40,000 souls. Quite a bit expensive, I know, but it's better to get it out of the way now and then move on. So now what we're going to do, like I said, is we're going to be heading down, and we're going to be going to Blighttown. Pretty standard stuff. So, once again, we're going to go that one path like before, and head all the way down. So from here we can take the elevator. Now if you're feeling like you can make it, you can just run it like I'm going to, or if you really want to, you can just rest at Firelink Shrine, and either will be good. Pretty much as long as you're within this general vicinity, wherever you rest at and warp back to is perfectly fine. Now, one quick thing I highly recommend doing while we're here is stopping by Petrus and purchasing all of his miracles that he has for sale.
Come again. The effect.
I know it probably leaves us a little strapped for cash, but don't worry guys, it'll be alright. So from here, we can rest up. Now that we have that Firekeeper soul, we can actually come on down here. We'll find Lautrec, as you'll see. He'll give us a sunlight medal as well. Now, one thing I like to do is, every time, if you equip the Zweihander and two-hand it and use your heavy attack, you'll basically make a pancake out of him. Pretty easy. As you'll see, he went down fairly quickly. Main reason why I'm killing him is because he will eventually kill our Firekeeper and will make it hard for us to warp back to this area later on when we unlock the ability to warp between bonfires that are at specific locations. Now there is a quest line you could do to kill him eventually, but I just don't like doing it. So from here we're finally going to head down and head into Blighttown. One thing you can do is make sure that you have fire bombs or whatever you think you might need. Having some black fire bombs left over from our initial fight with the Asylum Demon will help us out in the long run. So from here we're going to head back down. One thing I always like to do is I always like to just send the elevator back up. Once again, run through New Londo and out the backside over here, through the Valley of Drakes, and head down into Blighttown. Pretty easy stuff. As you'll see, once again, heading through the back of Blighttown always makes it a whole lot easier to progress. Now, as you'll see, that enemy off in the distance will be coming for them. But for now, we're just going to head through the area that we're at. Keep heading down these ladders until you reach this point over here. You'll drop down here, take a little bit of damage. Now coming over here, be careful when crossing this tree branch. It's very specific on what is walkable and what will cause you to simply just fall off. It's very hit or miss, but coming over here, you can find on this corpse a full set of armor and the 10 banishment catalysts. It's actually a upgrade to your current armor set, so if you really want to rock it out, by all means go for it. As you'll see, more defense is always good, and we're still able to fast roll because we have less than 25% equip load. So how Dark Souls' equip load works is, as long as you have less than a fourth or a fourth of your max carry weight, as you'll see on the equip load under your HP and stamina, as long as it's under a fourth of what your overall equip load is, and then you can fast roll. Now once you're above that, you're basically just going to be medium rolling. All that means is that your overall roll is a little bit slower, and some people are kind of good and kind of bad at medium rolling, and if you're above that, you'll then start fat rolling. Now, if you're human, when you enter Blighttown in the swamp area, you will get invaded by Maneater Mildred, as you'll see right here. This is probably one of the first NPC invaders most people will find. As you'll see though, because she's not wearing any armor, she has no poise and no defense. So she goes down fairly easily. as you'll see. But on her corpse you can actually get some humanity and her weapon, the butcher knife, as well as a couple of sips of Estus back. Now, like I said, we're going to be heading up into the actual area itself. Try not to get poisoned. But coming up here, as you'll see, this is technically the way you're supposed to be going backwards, which is a bit weird, but trust me, it's a whole lot easier doing it like this. Now, if you want to, you can always wait in between and let the poison and toxic buildup go down, because some of the enemies in this area will inflict it. As you'll see, the toxic dart guy is just constantly trying to give us toxic, which is not fun. So following this path and climbing up all of these ladders here, as you'll see, we'll have a bunch of these enemies trying to ambush us, but are no match for us in our straight sword. Coming up here once again, we'll have a couple more ladders we'll have to go up, and then we'll finally be at that bug that I pointed out. Once again, do be careful of the poison dart enemies, but coming off to the right here, you can finally head inside. Before moving, I would wait for the fog to dissipate. You'll notice this enemy getting on the ladder with us, so just simply climb back off. Not sure what enemy just died there, but they gave us some poison moss, which is good for us. Climbing up here, we'll also have one of these giant enemies here, as you'll see. So we'll just fight and take him out of the way. Just like that, they go down. Depending on things, they'll drop some dung pie or not. Then from here, you should only have 2 more enemies that you'll actually have to fight and defeat before the giant leech monster right over here. Depending on things, another one of those smaller enemies will attack you, but while we're waiting, we're going to equip the black firebombs. Alright, once we think we're good, you can lock on and then just start throwing them at him. Make sure you're close enough, of course, for them to hit. Or if you really want to, you can kind of just free aim it, I think. Could be wrong. As you see though, just like that, you will have defeated him, and you can grab probably your first pyromancy of the game, Power Within. Like I said, this is the only main thing that that you need to venture into Blighttown for. The rest is kind of at the end of it. So now we're going to head back down because we don't actually have a bonfire that we're going to warp back to. So we're going to have to take the long way down just to be safe. Luckily though, taking this way now is a whole lot quicker than it was before. You're less likely to get toxicked or poisoned by the enemies, but there is still that chance, as you'll see. But coming down here, you can now drop down again, and then from here you can basically run all the way back to the bonfire, as you'll see, like so. Now we can go and take on the boss of Blighttown and ring that second bell. So from here, you're basically just going to head to this giant spider-like cocoon area over here. Depending on things, you probably won't have any poison moss clump, as you've seen that I obtained. So if you don't, you will be poisoned probably for the majority of this boss fight. But luckily I ended up getting a drop of it. Poison moss will instantly get rid of all of your poison, but it won't get rid of toxic. So do keep that in mind. If you happen to do get the toxic status effect, you will need a much stronger version. You will need the blooming bright purple moss clump, which can be farmed from the enemies in the dark root garden, which is more or less the next area after this. But from here, you're actually going to be able to summon Man-Eater Mildred if you are still in human form after killing her once she has invaded you. She pretty much will make most of this next fight fairly easy to deal with. So once she is summoned in, you can enter the boss arena and fight the Chaos Witch Quelaag. As you'll see, our overall damage is pretty bad, but the main thing that we're going to want to have is Man-Eater Mildred. Now as you'll see, she's getting pretty much stuck on the lava, but once she can actually attack, and she can deal some damage. So the main goal is for us to try and distract Quelaag while she is on her backside. As you'll see, she can do some damage, and then once she gets the aggro, then we will take on the role of dealing some damage. Do note to be careful of certain attacks, and to watch out for the lava. But as you'll see, she's already at pretty much half health. Do note whenever she leans down like that on her demon side that she is going to do her AoE attack. So make sure you get away. Dealing with her and the lava isn't too bad. You can still kind of get caught out. As you'll see, getting hit between her and the lava does deal quite a lot of damage, but using our new armor set really does help. But also do note the lava does eventually fade away. But that will be the next main boss defeated, Quelaag. Now afterwards you'll want to come over here and you'll ring your next bell, getting your next trophy of the game. Pretty cool. Now we're not quite done yet here, as I'll show you guys how to fight and defeat 2 more bosses in this video. So after ringing the bell, what you're going to want to do is come down here, and just off to the right of the door you'll find this hidden wall. Now when coming over here, you're going to want to talk to this guy, and you're going to want to answer yes. Basically he's asking if you're a new servant, and you're just saying yes to be able to enter your next covenant of the game. So don't rest at the bonfire again, just don't. You'll want to talk to this woman here, and you'll want to enter the covenant. And this will get you your next trophy related to one of the 8 or 9 covenants, I always forget. But now what you want to do is actually offer her 30 humanity. Now since we did the duplication glitch, we basically have 99 humanity. But like I said, you just want to offer her 30. And that will get you another pyromancy, and then we can be done as well. Now, for the time being, us being +1 in this covenant isn't going to affect much of our gameplay. As you'll see in your character status, it says Covenant, Chaos Servant +2 or +1 depending on the game. But for now, just don't worry about it. So from here, we're going to head actually outside into the Demon Ruins to fight our next boss. And that is going to be just over there. So following the path that I take will lead you to the next boss. Now do note this is probably one of the easiest bosses to fight in Dark Souls. It does seem like it is tough, but trust me, there's an easy strategy to defeat them right now. Once we defeat this boss though, we'll then warp all the way back to Firelink Shrine, and we'll take on at least one more boss in this video before we're done. I'm mainly just trying to go through and help you guys get most of the starting area kind of cleared out and make it navigatable for you guys so you're more familiar with the area and map. Like I said, most of the starting area is very well connected and loops back on itself, so it does make it easy to kind of unlock shortcuts and find new ways around the map to make your life a lot easier. So as you'll see, this giant dude over here, the Ceaseless Discharge, he's just chilling, and he's not actually a boss yet. He actually won't attack us unless provoked. So if you don't attack him first, he won't attack you. However, if you come all the way over here and grab this item like so, the Gold-Hind Black Hood, it will actually piss him off. He'll rip his arm out. Then what you want to do is make sure that he attacks, and then just start running all the way back to the entrance. Don't worry, none of his attacks can hit you while you're doing this, even if it might seem like it. So once you are all the way back here towards the fog, there's a very specific spot that you can chill at, as you'll see right here. While we're waiting, we'll actually upgrade. Or no, not upgrade. Oh well. But you can chill right here, and as you'll see, he will make a jump towards us. And from here, you just have to hit him a couple of times, and he will instantly die. A pretty easy boss fight overall. And then afterwards you'll see the lava will dry out down below, and now we can head back to Firelink Shrine. So, like I said, once you're here back at Firelink Shrine, we can head on and fight the next boss. So from here, you can actually head back to the Northern Undead Asylum, and this will allow us to grab us a couple items. So in order to do that, you'll basically want to ride the elevator up and immediately turn around and start walking in this direction to walk off. Here you'll find a very specific spot to roll down onto, as you'll see. And here you can actually follow this path up to lead back to the top of this little tower here, and you'll find this bird's nest. Now you'll simply just curl up like a ball and wait for the cutscene to take place. Depending, it can take 30 seconds or a minute to activate, depending of course. But doing this will allow us to head all the way back to Firelink, or the Northern Undead Asylum, and then from there we can once again head back there from Firelink Shrine. As you'll see, cutscene will take place. And we are back here at the asylum. Here you'll have these enemies here who have some pretty strong fire attacks, but they go down fairly quickly. Now, depending on things, you might want to grab a safety bonfire here at the asylum, or if you think you're fine, what you can do is run right here, and while you're falling, like I said, just smash the roll button, and that will allow you to fall and not take as much damage. Now here we're going to fight the stray demon. Now he's pretty easy overall, but the downside is we don't have much of a damage output. As you'll see, most of our attacks overall aren't really that strong. Even with something like a Zweihander, it's not that great. So basically when doing this fight, just use whatever item you want, whatever weapon is comfortable for you. I'm actually going to switch back to the Astora Straight Sword simply because it's fast and efficient. But basically staying behind him and using his tail as a gauge for where to be will make your life a lot easier. Whenever he does this little butt stomp attack, you can just back away for a little bit. Whenever he puts a staff in the ground, simply just walk to be a little bit outside of his tail, as you'll see right here, and he can't hit you at all. This fight's probably going to be a little bit long right now just because we don't have an upgraded weapon or weapon type that really is efficient, but that's perfectly okay. Our overall DPS is doing just fine. Like I said, basically just getting behind him, smacking his butt, waiting for him to do certain attacks will make your life a whole lot easier. As you'll see. Now whenever he jumps away, he will probably make it a lot harder for you to get in close to deal damage to him, as you'll see like so. But don't worry, sometimes the butt slam will have a delayed hitbox, so you can still take some damage when you think you're not going to get hit like I just did. So do be careful of that if you're trying to go flawless. But it's just going to be a rinse and repeat kind of style. Hit him a couple times, see what attack he does. Smack his tail, run away. Like I said, the boss shouldn't be tough, but it's just going to take a bit of time just because our damage is kind of on the low side. But we are almost there finally. Probably a couple more hits and we should be golden. And just like that, we'll have defeated the Stray Demon. Now, do note every time you defeat him, he will drop a Titanite slab, so don't forget to grab that. Now from here, you'll have this ladder over here. And then as you'll see, you'll drop down back into the starting hallway as well as where our cell was. You'll also find a Black Knight waiting for us, so we'll go ahead and deal with him real quickly and grab the item found in our old cell. We'll assert dominance by just staying right in his face. As you'll see, basically, once you get used to parrying, the enemies that you used to think were tough are not as tough as you would think anymore. And just like that, he goes down, giving us a red Titanite chunk. Here you can grab the Peculiar Doll. Now, we're not quite done here in the asylum. There's still one more thing we have to do while we're here, and it's going to be grabbing a shield. Now, along the way, like I've shown you guys, we're grabbing very specific items, shields, weapons, and things like that, because it's all going towards certain trophies as well. The Astora's Straight Sword and the shield that we have that we picked up by the undead dragon are also on that list. So, coming out here and off to the left area, we're going to head back up and see our old friend Oscar. Now, do note in this hallway there is another Black Knight. As you guys can see, but like before, once you master parrying, these guys are a joke. Pretty easy overall. Like I said, then from here, you're basically just going to take him out, get another red Titanite chunk, and then from here, we're going to see our old friend Oscar, who's now turned hollow. Feels really bad, but we're gonna have to fight him. Really don't like doing this, but they leave me no choice. Same as before, even with him swinging a little bit faster than normal, he goes down pretty easy as well. Looks like he's also wielding the Astora's Straight Sword like we are. But from here, we can now finally head back to Firelink Shrine. Alright, one last thing to check while we're here at Firelink Shrine is Lautrec. If you accidentally knocked him off, his stuff will respawn right here. He'll drop 5 humanity and his Ring of Favor and Protection, or the Fab Ring as the community calls it. Like I said, that ring is kind of okay, but taking it off after putting it on will break. But that is going to do it for the second video in our Platinum Trophy Guide for Dark Souls Remastered. Like I said, when it comes to certain things, we're going to kind of be jumping here and there, but I'm going to try and cover most of the start of the game in order that you would come across it or discover it. So from here, the next video is probably going to be about the Depths, Lower Undead Burg, and the Darkroot Garden. Now there's a couple things we're going to unlock along the way, and there's going to be some new items available to us from those areas as well. Like I said, now that we have a bow and some arrows, we can actually equip those, and those are going to come in handy in the next episode. As like I said, we're going to finally head back up and take on the Hellkite Drake and deal with all that good stuff up there. But this has been Mr. Pilgrim. Once again, I do hope these videos and guides are helpful or informative in any way, shape, or form. And as always, I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.